Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to today's class. Today we're going to continue from the formula and function class for data analysis. All right, so this class is basically focused on the intermediate level of functions and formulas that are required for a data analyst. And the tool we are using for this class is basically Microsoft Excel. So one of the beautiful things is that some of these functions are still kind of you know relatable when you use other uh, analysis software like Power BI. When you're writing your DAX functions and the likes, you get to use some of these functions and formulas. So it is good to know. It's good to know. So we'll go straight to this formula and function. So we are going to be using the same data set we have used in the previous class for the basic beginner level. Right. So the first function we have here is the concat slash concatenate. They actually mean the same thing. The word concat simply means to combine. It is basically used for test data types. So it's used to combine, tests from multiple cells. Are we getting it now? So let us do a simple practical of that. So all right, let me give an instance here. So I'm doing the concat function. Okay, which permits me to highlight it out and make it I'm going to highlight it out. So we are using the concat function. Now, listen carefully to what I'm going to do. I want to use the concat function to add up, to combine the name of a salesman to the item that is sold and to the month that the item is sold. Are we following now? So that is what I want to do. The name of the salesman to the item that is sold, the date, or okay, I can just say the location the item was sold. So I just want to write in a statement to say this salesman sold this item at this location. Are we getting it now? So follow me carefully as I go using the concat function equals to, like I said, to write every function and formula in Excel, you start with the equal sign. Equals concat. You will have seen the concat. So pick the first concat. So it will ask you for the first test. So the first test we are selecting here is the name. Let's select Anderson, the name. Just select the first name, put your comma. Then to ask you second test. So you have the right to add as many tests as you like. Are you seeing that now? So I've picked the name, the first name of the salesman. So because in between the name of the salesman and the next thing I want to write, I want to add a test myself. I want to say that this name sold, so that sold is a test that is not in this, it's something I want to impute myself. So since it's a test and I want to impute it myself, not that I'm referencing to a cell, to an existing cell, I just want to impute it myself. So I have to use the quotation sign. All right, sold, close it, close the quotation sign. So in between my quotation, for my sold now, because I want there to be space between the name. Okay, James Anderson sold. So I don't want it to just lump together. Okay, no, don't let me allow you see how it will come out. So then we'll make the adjustment so that you can understand why this has to be done. Okay, James Anderson, this cell sold, comma, we've written the first, so the next thing sold, select the item cell, sold this, comma. Oh, okay, to add, okay, that's the location at, let's say sold. Okay, let's make this let's do it this way. Then the salesman sold, let's reference the quantity, the unit is sold. Sold this unit, of items in, so in, since it's a test I'm bringing in myself, I'll put it in a quotation, in, comma, then the last test I want to do here is Lagos. So I'm going to close the bracket, click on enter. So now we see what it returned to us. What it returned to us now is that what? James Anderson sold 7 in Lagos. But we can see that this thing is lumped together. So you have to do the spacing yourself. Do the spacing yourself. You can do a space in between your quotation, just put a space there so that a space will come in there. Sold this, and you can leave a space in between so that those space you have left will reflect. For the in also, do a space and do a space. Okay, so let's see enter and see what it looks like. Okay, this is much better. So we can see the outcome. So we can see that James Anderson sold 7 in Lagos. So, but I want to say 7 item. Let me say 7 items. So it doesn't, so it make more sense. So it make more sense. Sold 7, then let item come in next. Items. I mean 7 units. Just do 7 units. That's the correct thing to say. 7 units, comma. So we can say James Anderson sold 7 units in Lagos. So basic thing I'm explaining here to you is that the CONCAT function is used to merge or to combine multiple tests that exist in different cells together, or even you can combine cells, you can just be creative around it. I made this look so kind of uh, high level, but it can be very simple also. It can be very simple also, So that's basically what it is. That's basically what it is. If you want to, let me give for instance, between a particular name. Let's say you want to add up the location to a particular salesman name. Let's just do that for instance. Equals concat, a salesman's name, comma, to put space in between the name and the location. I will just do my quotation, space, quotation. So in between my two quotation sign, there is a space, then quotation, comma, then the location. Close the bracket, enter. So Nathan Reed Quara. You see that now? So that's basically what that cell is, what concatenate is all about. So I'm going to also explain to you that there is a traditional method of concatenate. So and the traditional method is using the and sign. We all know this sign. If you are not familiar with this sign, you ought to be familiar with this sign. So this and sign can be used also to combine different tests together, not only test different whatsoever together. So how do we do that? Let me give for instance, this one you don't need to write a particular function. Just start with equals to, pick what you want to match together. The first thing you want to match this and just say and, and this. When you close the bracket, you can see it give you Nathan Reed TV because I matched the salesman and the items together. It gave us Nathan Reed TV. So also you can put in your space there. Let's do it again. Equals to this, and if I want to say and space, just do your space. Remember to do your space. You do your quotation sign, put space in between the quotation. Yes, so you've done that. And just select what you want to add to it. Let me make my space more. So doing this, click on enter so you can see now that I have Nathan Reed TV. So do you get that now? So it's basically used to add text together, but this and can work with either text or number. It will add it together to merge it together. Are we getting it now? So you will understand the importance of these things, like I said, all these test function relating to whatever. You get to realize when we get into the deep side of analysis, or you have to clean a data, these are the functions that seems to be relevant. So we have the left, right, and mid function. The left, right, and mid function. So I'm going to explain these ones. The left, right, and mid function are basically used to extract a portion of text from a cell. They are basically used to extract a portion of text from a particular cell that you are working with. So I'm going to give an instance. So let's do the left. Let's create a long text. A long text, e.g., for instance, let me use this cell. Let me write telecommunication. Telecommunication. I think this is a long text enough. This is long enough. So using the left function, we are going to assume that if you want to use the left function and you are told to extract the first three letters in this word telecommunication, you want to extract just the first three letters. So you use the left function. Use the left function. Let's do equals left. Then it asks for the text. Just reference the cell where we have the text written. Reference it, comma. Then it will ask you this num chars. It means number of character that you want it to extract. Since I want it to extract just the first three characters in that word telecommunication, so I just write 3. So close the bracket, enter. So you can see it returned to me tel, tel, which is the first, you know, 3 characters of that word telecommunication from starting from the left. So are we picking that now? So let's do the right function. Do the right function also. So we are going to use the right function here to extract We use it to extract the, let's say for instance, okay, let me do the mid function. Okay, there's no problem about that. Let me do the mid function. So let's see how this will rhyme. So we are going to use the mid function to extract the uh, the letters in between. We want to extract just the 7 letters in between. The mid 7 characters in between. So just come here, say equals mid. Select that text. So for this mid now, it will ask you for the start number. So what is the start number here? The start number is what number do you want the middle should start from. So what number among this character is the middle selection or extraction going to start from? So I'm going to say that I want it to start from the fourth character here, which is E. E before C. I want it to start from the fourth character here. So the start number will be 4, comma. Then it will ask me that how many number of character do you want this to select? I can say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just select 7 characters. 7 characters from the fourth character. Just select, count 7 from there. That is what I wanted to select. Close the bracket, click enter. So we can see that e commune. So that is what it picked. So use the right function. I'm just giving you this in a probably simple way you can understand. Equals right. So this one also we pick, select the text, comma. So it tell you what number of characters should I select, which means from the right. So you count from the right here, which is from the last uh, character here. We want it to just select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Think 7 also. 7 also. 7 characters from the right. Click enter. So we have it. So can we see that now? So in what practical term is this, will this be possibly useful? So in what term will this be possibly useful? Let me give you this one. If you see the data set I gave to you yesterday, you're going to see this. So let's assume that you have a data set where we can see names. Please follow carefully. So instead of having the name of the people you want, you are seeing their email, and in that email, it's combination of their name and their surname, just with a full stop in between. So you can use the left character here, to extract the name, extract the surname. You get that now? Just from what is provided to you. Right, so just come here and say equals, let's do the left, equals left. So the test, select the test, which is johnfamous@gmail.com, comma. So because we want to pick the first name out of this cell, which is John. So how many character is John there? I think John is just 4 characters. 4. Close the bracket, enter. So we can see that it has returned John to us. The same thing here when you come to the surname and you want to extract the surname, which is famous. So, but we can see that famous is in between John and @gmail.com. So how do you extract only famous? So it is the mid function that will be useful for you here. The mid function is what you will use here. Are you seeing now? So equals mid, select the text. So the start number, what number does famous start from? in this entire text. So if you have to count everything. JOHN, that's 4, full stop, that's 5, F is 6. So that is the sixth character, starting from the sixth character, comma. So what number of characters should be picked out? So starting from the sixth character, from F, FAMOUS, that is 4, 5, 6. That is 6. Just pick the 6. Pick 6 characters out of this from the middle. Close the brackets. You have your famous. Are we getting that now? So explained, perfectly explained. So now let me now use, align with you on the CONCAT function we just talked about. So at this point now, I can use the CONCAT function to combine the name and the surname together. Are we getting it now? In a proper way, just do your equals sign, CONCAT, pick the name, comma. We want a space to be in between the name and the surname, right? So we'll do the quotation sign, space, close the quotation sign, comma, then select the surname, right? Close the bracket, enter. So we can see that we have John Famous. Okay, good. So the next thing we want to do here is I want to capitalize the full name, this combined name. I want to capitalize it. What does it mean to capitalize? Which means to make it look proper. We can see that here we have the names John starting in small letter and famous also starting in small letter. But you want your data to look more professional. So there is a function called the proper function. There's a function called proper. Are we following now? So proper will just make it look, this proper function is a test function. Are you getting it now? It's a test function. It makes your data look upright. So let's do this. Equals proper. Select that test. Close the bracket. That is all you are doing here. So it will return it in a capitalized way. Are we getting that now? So that's just as simple as it should be. All right. So do this over and over again. Use this same thing to complete the entire names that we have. Just do it. So let me do this last one for you. Let me do this last one. So I give an assumption here that you are the HR of Seaway Company. So you want to give your new staff a new email, and the email you want to give them is the email of your company, which is at seaway.com. So which means if the person's name is Emmanuel Babadele, you want the person email should be emmanuel.babadele@seaway.com. And we imagine here that you have a large data set of about 10,000 employees, and we don't want you to start writing. You start looking at the name, you type at seaway.com. We want you to do this using this function, using this understanding of this function to make your work seamless and easy. So by the time you have done one, all you need to do is to double tap or drag down, and it will pick the same format to extract the email for the rest of the people. Are we getting that now? So because if I come here now, if I come to this in my Babadele now, because I have used the function here, if you check your formula bar, you will see the function I've used, the concat function, to 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 extract the email. I mean, to generate an email for Emmanuel Babadele. So if I just drag down for this John Famous, it will pick it also. You can see I don't have to start typing John.famous. Just drag down that formula. it work. So let me explain how it work here. So just come here, write equals to concat. So select the text, John, you know, select the text, because here now we cannot use, we want to use this, the name and the surname. So the name, sorry, please apologies, my system is, my cursor is not responding the way it should do. It should. So equals to the place we have John. So we are doing for John. So equals concat. We pick John, comma. Then the next thing that we want to follow is full stop. So that full stop is a text character. So because it's a text character, I have to put it in between a quotation sign. The quotation full stop, close the quotation. You get that? Then comma, the surname. So the surname, I pick the surname, then comma. The next thing I want to add immediately after the surname is at seaway.com, because that's the company I'm working for, right? So I want that name and surname to come together with a full stop in between, at seaway.com. So because at seaway.com is also a test, you put your quotation, you can type it out at seaway. Make it all in a small letter, seaway.com. Close the quotation, close bracket, enter. So we can see now that we have John famous at seaway.com. So basically, that's just how simple it is. How simple it is. I hope you catch that. You can just pause the video and go back through it again. So the next thing I will talk about here is the lens function, the len lens function. This is just a, maybe not too relevant, but it's good to know. It's good to know this. So the lens function, what the lens function is all about is that the lens function, according to that word, it talks about length. It counts the length of a text. It tells you the length of a text, how long is a text, or to say how many characters are in a particular text. Let me give, for instance, equals length. So I want to count the characters, the number of characters in the word telecommunication. Select that communication, close the bracket. So it will return to me that in the word telecommunication, there are 17 characters there. So are we getting it out? That's just basically the function of this one, telling me that there are 17 characters in the word telecommunication. And you can count that if you want to verify. So basically, that's what that is all about. So let's come straight to these test functions. We have the test function is used to format numbers, dates, or text. But most often in data analysis, this function is basically used to format a date. I would say for me as a person, I use it often to format date. Given that, let's assume that you have this particular date, today's date is 4th. Okay, I don't know if I told you about dates yesterday. Did I make mention of dates yesterday? Okay, I did, yes. I talked about how to, please, if you are just attending this class, please make sure you go through the video for the beginners level. We explain certain things, that we might not go back to on this intermediate level. Can always refer to the video and watch. So let's let's extract today's date by saying using today. We use this function, close the bracket. So this function returns today's date to us. So now I can use the test function to extract, you know, probably I just want to extract the month in this date. What I want is just the month, I can use the test function. Or if what I want is just the day alone, I can use the test function. Or if what I want is just the year value alone, I can use the test function. Are we following? So from this date, which is today's date, I want to extract just the month. I want it to return to me the month alone. So I use equals test, select that date, close the bracket, enter. Oh, sorry, please. So after you select that date, comma, the next thing is format test. So you are going to tell us the format. So if it is month, I want to extract from this date that I have selected. If it is month, I use M, 4M, put them in a column, which is string, then close the bracket. So when you do that 4M is the format for months. Don't forget, M is the format for month. D is the format for day. Y is the format for year. Don't ever forget that. Enter. Why is this returning? What did we pick? Something is wrong here. Equals, please, apologies, test. Let me do date. Oh, okay. Can we see that now? For the date now, it has returned Wednesday using the D. So we are going to do for the year. I don't know why my system is acting this way. Equals test. Select the cell where we have that. Let's do for month. Close. So we can see that the month it returned to us is December. Is December. So I hope we catch that. Or should I do it again? Let me do it again. Equals test. Select the date, comma, write the format for the month, M, close the bracket, December. So you can also do the same thing for, you can extract the year also. Like I said, equals test, select the date, comma, then the format for year, like I said, Y. Always don't forget to put this in your quotation sign, close the bracket, enter. So we can see Wednesday, December 2024. All right. That's basically what the test function is all about. Basically what it's all about. So let's move to the next, running fast. Okay, the next here is INDEX+MATCH. But before I go to INDEX+MATCH, let me just run through all the simple things we have here. All of these are not so much important. If error returns a custom result, if a formula generates error, let's assume that you did a formula that generates error, you know, probably in a data set, you have some formula that are error, that, you have some cell that have error. Let me give you an example of error sign. Let's give, for instance, someone in a particular cell, there is a wrong formula there, or say equals, let's say something like times y. So if I do this, this is returning to me an error. Can you see now? But this one seems to be like a name error. There are some error that will be NA. You'll find that. So now, if I have this in my data set, my long data set, I can say that any value or any cell that have all this kind of error, right? I want to use the if error function to say all of this type of error values. You select it. So I'm going to say that if this is an error, you will tell me that true. So I'm going to, can you see the true I want to write now? I'm putting it in a quotation. TRUE. Can you see that now? So if this is an error, I told it to return to me true. So you are the one that will tell it what you want it to return. Are you getting it now? If it is true you want it to return, it will return true. Okay, this is an error. So if it is something else you want it to return, if let's say for me, I want every cell that is an error there, for instance. Okay, let me give you a practical view. I'm going to do this in a practical way for you, for us. I'm going to do this in a practical way. I'm going to do this in a practical way. Just follow attentively. Please, this might not, it might look a little complex, but it's not complex. Just wait. So I want to give an assumption. Let me scatter my data set a little. I want to copy this one here, the value here. Let me select it and paste here. So I'll put in some errors here. So watch now. Let us assume that in my data set, I have some error in between my profit data set and I want to analyze this profit. So if I'm having error in between, let's say something is giving me error, like maybe someone has input a formula that is wrong, or instead of the person to times one thing, the person is multiplying. Let's say for instance, this person divided sales and location. You cannot divide state and a name and the name of a state, your sales, which is amount, number, dividing by Lagos, or you know, if you do this, what do you expect to get? Obviously, you get error. You can see it has given you an error here. This one is a value error. Let's have about more of this in our cell. So having error in your data set makes it impossible for you to have a meaningful analysis. So as a data analyst, you have to get rid of the error. So that is where this if error comes in. So in this function now, you have the right to now change that error to what you want. So for me as a data analyst that I'm thinking properly, I would want to change all my errors here, all the cell that have error in this profit column. I would just want to say that let them be average, or let them be the average or the mean value of this profit. Remember I've taught you mean value. Mean value means like the average of it, the average of each of the what you have in this range. So the average of the profit there, it will be something reasonable that won't be too high and will not be too low. That is what average is. Average is not too high, it's not too low. So you can use it to replace your error values so that you can still have a meaningful analysis. Are we getting it now? So we are going to come here to say that, let's say equals to if error. So I'll say if error, select the value, comma, So value if error now. So value if error is that if this cell I've selected is an error, this is what I want it to do. I want it to return average. So I'm going to type the average function. Average. So average of what? Average of this entire profit column, profit record. So that is the average that I want it to return. So if the value you see is an error, return back the average of all these profit cells. Are you getting that now? So to return back the average. So we can see that this first one, because it is not an error, let me format it. Please permit me to just format it to be in Naira. Let me format it to be in Naira. So we can see that because it is not an error, it returned back what was there. It returned back the 262 that was there, 262,500,000. It returned it back. But if it is an error, so we drag this formula down. Please apologies, don't mind my cursor is not is misbehaving. So when I drag down, okay, let me see what we have here. If this is an error, it ought to return back to me the values. Return back to me the average. Shouldn't return back value if error. So please wait, let's make some adjustment. Let's do the formula here. If equals to if oh, sorry, I get. So I get the trick here because this one is just value issue. It's just a value issue. So that's why it's not bringing back a major error to us. So, but let's assume that I'm doing this divided by y. So this kind of error now, let's see. Please don't mind my cursor is I will just type in here. My cursor is misbehaving. Just type it if error, select this cell, comma, then say the value if error is average of all the profit we have here. Close the bracket. Oh, oh, okay, 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 okay. I think the best approach should be this. Let me calculate the value, the average of this profit sold. We know what we want to achieve, so that is what we'll focus on. The average of this entire profit is 300,000. Are we getting that now? So what we do is this. We're going to come back here to say that let's delete all the formulas we have there. We're going to give it another try again. We make our average value known here. We've known the average profit. We've calculated the average profit here. So we want to use this to replace all the error values. All the error values. Please let me return to this place. The same thing. Please sorry. Control C, Control V. So let them have the same error value here. So what we want to do is that we want to say if this value is an error, comma, if it is an error, what I want you to return to me is this. All right. So if this is an error, return this. So if it is not an error, return back the actual profit. But if it is an error, give me the average profit. Are we following? Click enter. Okay. All right. Okay, but right here we are seeing, oh, okay, please. Apologies. Let's go back. So when we write this formula, let's make sure we lock it this place. If not, it will keep increasing. So that average, you have to lock it. To lock it, you use F4 key. So to do that, click on the FN button. The FN button in between your control and Windows icon, your Windows key on your keypad. You see an FN button. Click it down. So at the top of your keypad, you will see F4, the place where we have F1, F2, all of that. So while your hand is still on the FN, click on the F4. So, or basically just click on the F4 after highlighting. You can click on the F4 itself. So what you do is just highlight, click on F4. You get it. So doing that, it has selected. So let me explain that to you. So the moment you do that, you lock it, it will not run away. It will remain there in the sense that if you drag down, it will still maintain that M2, that cell where you have your average profit, will still maintain it. But if you didn't lock it, let me give you for an instance. If you didn't lock it, like the way we didn't the last time, so we didn't lock it here now. Can you see? We just have the M2. So if you drag down, it will keep increasing and you will not get the right thing. So come and look at this cell now. Let's examine this next one. You can see that we now have M3. You can see, so it has jumped from the place we have the value, it has jumped to the next cell and nothing is in the next cell. So if you come to the other one now, you can see we have M4. So like that, it will keep jumping. M5, you can see. So but we don't want it to jump, we just want it to return what we have in this average, you know, to us. Are we getting it? So that's why we have to lock it. So when we lock it from here with the F4 key, just click on F4. If your system does not lock it immediately, you click on F4 alone, then click on Fn and F4 at the same time. So you get it now. So by the time I lock it, even if I drag down, it will not change. So we now see that the areas where we have errors has been converted to the value of our average profit. Are we seeing it now? So let us follow this approach. So we can see that all the areas where we have, the error has been changed to the average profit. So do we see that now? Let me highlight so you get what I'm trying to say. So you can see that the places where we have, error, what it returned to us is the average profit. So which is very, still, which will be close to your calculation. It will still be close to your calculation. Let me explain to you. This is the correct profit, right? Let's do the sum of this correct profit equals sum. Add everything together. Let's compare it to let's compare this. Now, okay, the total sum of this correct profit is 9 million and the like. So if you look at the sum of this area now where we have, because the thing is that this cell where we have error here. This profit that has error, if you want to do formula here, if you want to sum it up, you might have issues summing it up because there are some cell that contain error. So you might have the issue trying to sum it up. You can see it's giving you error. Why? Because you cannot add up, a range that contain error. So that's why I said you have to take off the error. So now, and we've taken off the error using the if error function. Are you following now? So now you can even determine the number you want to use to replace error values. You can determine it. You can just say if there is any error at all in this cell, return back this, but make that number reasonable, right? Make that number reasonable. So let's cross check this one. So we can see that it's still slightly close. Still slightly close. 8.3, 9.2. So that being said, that is what if error is basically all about. I know we've spent a lot of time on that side. Let's look at this. Let's look at, okay, is number, this one we answer if it is number, it will say true. If it is not number, say false. So all of these ones are not too important. So let me explain the rank function and I will explain the countif function here. All of these are more relevant than others. Okay, the rank. Let me come here and explain the rank function to you. So the rank function is basically used, I'm going to delete this, but if you are submitting an assignment, please make sure you retain it and submit. Don't delete anything. Okay. So I want to do a rank. Like I say, rank function will rank your data set either in ascending order or descending order, bringing the highest. It will rank them by giving them their position. The highest will be number one. The next to the highest will be number two, based on if you set it as ascending order or descending order. So I want to rank all my profit. you know I want the highest, lowest. I want it to be given like that: first, second, third. It will tell me the position of each of these forms. Just use the equals rank. No, not rank average, or equals rank. Just rank. Please make sure it is rank you are selecting. Equals rank. Then select the cell, comma. The reference now will be everything. Everything will be the reference. So you are saying that what is the position of this value among his colleague? What's the position? So so that range is your ref. So the next thing to ask you is the order. Is it descending order or ascending order? I think let's use descending order and let's see how it returns to us. So, but the next thing again I want to tell you is that so that you won't make the mistake we made the last time, lock this range, this reference. If you don't lock it, it will keep changing when you are dragging down. So lock it using your F4. Are you getting it now? So except if you are the type that you want to start inputting the formula one after the other for each of the transaction, and that will take you time. Imagine you're working on a transaction of 10,000 transaction. Will you start entering the formula over and over? So you will just input the formula for the first transaction and drag down. So the important thing is that make sure you lock the area, the range. lock the range so that the range doesn't change. Only the one that you don't lock that will change, which is this, what you are comparing. So we are comparing this particular profit, 262,500. We are comparing it with this entire range, with the entire profit. So that one will not change. That one we don't need to lock it. So that when we drag down, it will just pick the next one. It will pick the next one when we drag down. It will pick the next one when you drag down. It will pick the next one when you drag down. So we are done with that. Close. So now we can see that this is telling us that this profit 262,500 is number 20. The position is what? The position here is number 20. So we see that now, that the position is number 20. So what you just need to do is just to drag down. Please don't mind my cursor is giving me a tough time. So just drag down, and by dragging down, you get what you want. You get what you want, please. Okay, trying to. So we can see that dragging down now, we now have what we want. So we have the position of all the profits. So this particular profit is number 20 in this entire range. So we can see this one is number 11. So let's look for the first position. So the first position is this 910. Let me highlight this. You can see this is the first position, which means it is the highest in this list. Can you see that now? It's the highest. So that's what the rank function is all about. So this is why I'm explaining this one, is because it's very relevant. It's very relevant. You can be told to tell us what is the highest sale, what is the number one sale, or to rank all your sales. You can be told to tell us what is, give us number one to five, you know. So you use it, and you can use it in a data set that is a school data set, the highest mark, the first 10, highest mark in a class. You use that rank function. It will just rank it automatically. Even if the students in your school, if there are 10 million, that rank will give you a perfect rank from the first, you know, down to the last position. So let me explain the count if function. I don't know if I did this yesterday. I mean, in the last class. Let me explain the count if function. So the count if function is basically used to do a unique counting. Is used for to do a unique counting, in a situation whereby, okay, I explained count and counter. I said count is used to count number, while counter is used to count uh alphabet or text values. So but countif here is used to count for a specific criteria in a large data set. Are you getting it now? So let's assume that in this data set now, let me give you a data set where we have some things repeating themselves. This location is a good example. So you can see that in this location, we have Lagos occurring several times. We have Ogun State occurring, several times. We have Osun, we have some states occurring in multiple times, which means sales were made in this state, different time. Someone bought an item in Lagos, they bought an item in Lagos again. So there can be a question that, okay, how many times did we make sales? Was How many times did we have a transaction in Lagos? How many times did we sold an item in Ibadan? how many times did we have a transaction in Osun State? So that is a specific counting, which means you are not just counting all the states, you are counting for a particular state. Are you getting it now? So what you use here is what? The count if function. All right. So I want to count for Lagos. Please let me just adjust my. So I want to just do a count for Lagos to know the number of time we sold an item in Lagos. You use the count if function. So equals count if. It asks for the range. So the range, you go and select everything in the location, all the location, that is your range. Select everything, comma. So the criteria is what? The criteria will be the specific state you want to count for among the range. So our criteria is Lagos. You can type it in. So if you are typing it, you have to use your quotation mark, then type in Lagos, but make sure your spelling is correct. Let's even write in capital letters since it's written in capital letters. Make sure your spelling is correct. Then close. Click enter. So please don't mind the naira that is coming. It's because this column is naira value. So we can change it back to say it's just a number, not naira. So we can see that it has given us the count that the transaction was made in Lagos 6 times. Can you see that now? Transaction was made in Lagos 6 times. Did we get that now? So if you go to your data set, you can confirm, count the number of times Lagos occurred in this data set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's correct. That's correct. So you might want to try that for other states like let's do Kwara. Let's count for Kwara now. Equals count if, select the entire range where you have that state, comma. So the criteria is what? What's the criteria? The criteria is Kwara. You are writing Kwara. Put in a quotation. Make sure your spelling is correct with what is in your data set. Click enter. So it's telling us here that the number of transaction, the number of time we made transaction in Quora is 5 times. Are you getting it now? This is an analysis. Are you getting it? This is an analysis. So that's basically what that is all about. So let me go back to this important part. I had to put this last so that you can take your time. You might want to take some break and come back to watch this. Is the index match. In some other classes, I'll be explaining I'll be explaining the match function itself, but for the sake of this class, so let's just do index match. So index and match are two separate functions. They are two different and separate functions. So, but they can be used together, right? So what did they do? They actually perform the same thing like the VLOOKUP. They help you search for something. It helps you search for an information. You understand? It helps you look up for a particular value. Let me give a proper case study of where these two functions can help you out. So let's assume that you want to know the sales, or will I say, let me just give this scenario. You want to know the name of the particular salesman, right? That made a sales based on a transaction. You want to find out the person who made a particular sale or who made a particular transaction. what you know is you know the transaction ID, but you want to know the name of the salesman that made that transaction, but you know the transaction ID, right? So you can use that transaction ID to locate the name of the person who made the sales. So let me explain why I'm using transaction ID here. So if you are using this index and match function, your data set must have a unique identifier. What is a unique identifier? A unique identifier is a value that differentiates a particular data record from others. So you will see that in my data set, one thing that is very unique, which can be reliable, is the transaction ID and also the serial number. These two things are unique. But in some data set, they might not have serial number. So if they don't have serial number, they should have a transaction ID. They should have another ID. Some data set you will see what they will have is employee ID. But you must make sure that if it is having employee ID, that means that data must be talking about only employees. And a unique ID does not occur more than once in a data set. So the moment an ID occur more than once, it is no longer a unique ID for that data set. I don't know if you are following. It's no longer a unique ID. So because this transaction ID are occurring just once, you can see they are unique. So that is why we make them our unique ID. So we can use that unique ID to look out for what we want. So let me start. Equals to index. Index is the first thing you write. Index. So it will ask you to select the array. The array will be the area I want to search for. So let me select all the salesman here, comma. So when it's asking me for the next thing, don't provide anything. The next time, just write match. So I'm saying match this salesman record to this particular ID I'm looking for. I know the ID. Please follow carefully. I know the ID I'm looking for. So because the ID is a number, I don't need to put it in a string. I can just type it out. I can say 20. Let me pick one of the ID 201 100 14. Since it's a number, that is why I didn't put it in a quotation mark, comma. So the lookup array, in what array do we have all the IDs? Select it. Our transaction ID is the lookup value. So the lookup array is the range where all the transaction IDs are kept, comma. The next thing to ask me is what type of match are you doing? I'm doing exact match. Give me the exact thing. Are you getting? Give me the exact thing. Please don't mind that error. Then once I'm done selecting exact match, which is 0, I close that bracket. Then I close again. You close two brackets because you just close the bracket for the match. You have to close the bracket for the index also. Once you are done with that, enter. So we can see that it return back the name of the person that has that transaction ID. What is that transaction ID? 2010014. 2010014. So if you go and search for the person who has that transaction, you see that to be correct. Charlotte Evans, abi. So go and search. This Charlotte Evans. What is his ID? You can see that it's very correct. 2010014. So do you get that now? So I'm going to still explain the match function and index function separately to us. But I hope we just understand what has been explained to us. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask. Please endeavor to ask, and you can go back to the last class. If you have a question, ask. Or if you want us to actually teach on a particular topic in this Excel function or data analysis generally, you can please recommend using the comment section. Don't forget to like and comment. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right.